Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe, if you dare.
So, I go to one place, everything seems normal except for being asked to strip bare for an oil massage. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. Those of you who worked undercover, what is the most taboo thing you witnessed, but could not intervene as to not blow your cover?
Number 1.
Worked as a ghost passenger for an airline. Basically, I flew around and graded the flight attendant's performance. While still parked at the gate with the door open, one flight attendant began berating passengers who were using their smartphones, which was completely permitted at the gate. She threatened to have the person in front of me thrown off the plane if she didn't put hers away. She also threatened me. After we left the gate and were taxiing to the runway, I looked back to see her sitting in her jump seat, using her phone. Took a photo of it and included that in my report. She initially denied using the phone and claimed I was being unruly on the aircraft. After she saw the photo, she changed her tune.
Number 2.
A trafficked woman overdosed on Xanax and God knows what being thrown over a shoulder to get her to her private porn shoot at 3 a.m. at a motel. I had to help do her hair and makeup while she was unconscious in the back seat. I still cry to this day thinking about her, and many others. But she was one of the women held in that house that was prostituting for years on her own. She'd seen worse and chose worse. If I stopped it then, the young innocent girls taking ads for Hot Girls Wanted, free trip to Miami to be a model, 1K a day, would have not been screwed. The guy is still trafficking and exploiting young naive women. He just changed his house and agency name once the FBI came in randomly. We did not call them. The US only wants to go after the ones that have women under 18. He gets them at 18 in one day. No joke, he'll make them wait an hour or two to board their flight to make sure they're legal. I was told to pull out once they realized the girls being drugged and raped were over 18. I have nightmares every night about it. Some of those girls have never been seen again.
Number 3.
I was running a wire. We were looking to arrest a guy who beat a 2-year-old so bad she had broken femurs. We wired up mom and had her go to the boyfriend's house and try to get him to confess. Mom started out great, led the boyfriend along and started to effing blow him. He then F her. The man who beat her daughter so badly that she was life flighted. She
F him
on wire. I was punching my dashboard and wishing I could arrest her as well. It was awful.
Number 4.
Helped manufacture methadone so that I could get arrested with the suspects and spend time in the cells to discover how the drugs were being brought into the prisons. Was recruited due to my work circumstances, age and environment. Had to change provinces when I was finished with the deal.
Number 5.
Former loss prevention here. Best job ever, by the way. Witnessed so much sex in the stockrooms, couples, singles, trios, you name it. We had cameras everywhere, of course, especially in the stockrooms due to rampant employee theft. We had countless hours of employee sex on tape. We couldn't reveal the cameras, which would tip off the thieves, so all we could do was watch.
Number 6.
I worked as a HIPAA inspector for a bit. Shit is scary. I'd go in and say I was looking for my mom, that they called me because she was in an accident. I was in my early 20s. Pretty much every place I went gave me all kinds of protected info on the patient. The company would have placed fake records in the computer. One smaller urgent care place was like, no one with that name, here's our sign-in log for the week, take a look. With last names, first names and reason for visit. Yikes.
Number 7.
I worked for an armored car service for a while as an undercover guard. When a place had a lot of money, or if it was a risky area, 2 plainclothes guards would arrive before the truck. I would scout the place and outside to make sure the uniformed guys could get in and out safe. We wore a color of the day and the local cops knew who we were, as did the uniformed guards. It was a pretty easy job and I only once waved off a pickup because of a bunch of Latin kings sitting on benches out front. I hung out a while to see what was going on and hoping they would leave so we could make the pickup. As I sat on a bus bench across the road, I watched one of the guys take out his needle point. I never would think that a gang member would tote his needle point to a stick-up job.
Number 8.
I am a private investigator, contracted by the government to check massage shops to see if they're soliciting. I usually get sent to shops which have had multiple complaints and an investigation is in its final stages and they need evidence to support their case. So, I go to one place, everything seems normal except for being asked to strip bare for an oil massage. Eventually I am asked to flip over, the therapist without asking just starts rubbing some gel on my parts. At this point, I am obligated to refuse and finish the session. I ask her to stop, but halfway through the sentence I am hit with the most intense pain. Turns out, she was new and was unaware that alcohol gel is not the same as massage oil. Long story short, the manager was convicted of coercing staff on the basis of their visas being revoked if they didn't comply. And I had to stand in court and tell the events of that day.
Number 9.
I used to work for furniture showroom stores that sold out of catalogs. I ran 2 stores and helped others. One of my jobs was to go to other stores and pretend to be a customer. Most of the scenarios involved various selling points, product knowledge, and upsells. I had to get a written estimate as proof. But also I checked store security, the condition of the store, and so on. Worst was when I entered a store and there was no one in there. It was during open hours, but the entire showroom was vacant. So I wandered into the back room, I changed a few things around, and I went into the till, and put in a note on the back of my business card that I had been in their till. After half an hour, I just left. I would have locked the store up if I had the key. I called the manager and let her know, and she got in her car and immediately drove to the store. There were employees in there by the time she got there, but she checked under the till and saw my business card. She spoke to the employees, who said that they were there the whole time, but were at a loss to explain the business card and the stuff in the back room I had messed up. I think she fired her staff on the spot. I can't remember what happened after that.
Number 10.
I was part of an FBI sting. There was a group of people that were using stolen credit cards to buy large ticket items and have them delivered to the store for parking lot pickup, which was an option that a lot of people that lived in rural areas where delivery was not available. But of course, you wouldn't have to verify your address either. All we cared about was that you showed up and picked up the merchandise you ordered. The group of people that were using stolen credit cards were actually made up of a few former employees of the company who knew how to game the system. But the FBI was wise to a lot of their thefts, and they set up a sting operation at my store with the drivers. All they had to do was sign for the furniture to complete the deal that they had picked up the stolen merchandise that they had paid for with stolen credit cards. Once they did that, several armored men with guns jumped out of the back of the truck and surrounded the 4 to 5 people, ordered them to the ground, where they were handcuffed and carried away.
Number 11.
I'm a TV producer. I was working on a popular documentary a while ago. We were following a woman who was addicted to heroin and had resorted to prostitution in order to make money to support her habits. One day, a friend of hers got thrown into jail. She decided she needed to work really hard to bail them out. So she called her friend who owned a crack house that he let girls like her turn tricks in at about $10 a pop. I witnessed this girl share needles with many people and watched as John after John came into the house and disappeared into the bedroom with her for a little bit.
Number 12.
Was secret shopping at a high-end restaurant, around $100 per plate. The busser came over and refilled my water glass, that I had already drank out of, and overfilled it, so he poured part back in the pitcher from my glass and proceeded to refill everyone else at the table from the same pitcher. I really wanted to throw a fit, but could only include it in my report. Ew.
Number 13.
I do social engineering for financial institutions, banks, credit unions, etc. I went to a credit union in Texas where the entire place failed on a miserable basis for security. I walked in with a fake badge that stated I worked for a made-up company and I was there for an inspection of the building. I dressed in a polo and khaki pants with matching colors to my badge and walked into the front desk. The girl there was probably in college or just out of school. She immediately let me into the back room and I walked into offices and desks that were unoccupied but located in rooms with other employees. I walked up to empty computers in use and plugged USB drives in, huge no-no, and began typing random things into computers and taking pictures of myself at the computers. Employees would literally look at me and go back to their jobs without thinking anything of a guy taking selfies at their friend's work desk. Once I had been in every office, I went to the vice president's office and opened her desk and looked through files to find personal information, and found tons. I went into the file room and took personal loan documents off the shelf and took pictures of myself accessing them. When I was done, I walked to the person who had contracted my company and laid out all the information I had found and all the things I had done, and the guy just sighed. This scenario has happened a couple of different times. Most places fail somehow. Sometimes it's fun and interesting, sometimes it's boring and there's nothing worth staying.
Number 14.
I worked as a secret shopper for a while for a small store. The most egregious thing I found were employees would hide inventory if they knew a sale was coming up. I'd also go in and ask questions about what equipment I should use just to test their general knowledge. Most failed, but they were young kids getting paid shit, so I felt bad squealing on them. I also forgot to add that I had to put up with being hit on by teenagers and creepy older guys. I had to play along and see if they knew their shit despite throwing terrible games.
Number 15.
I used to investigate insurance fraud. The one thing I saw that made me the maddest was when I was working in the rundown area near the Philly Zoo and saw a strung out mother walking with her toddler and jerking his arm and screaming at him for not keeping up with her quick walking pace. The kid was not even 2 years old. I really wanted to get out of the car. The funniest one was where I had to go undercover in a bar to investigate this one person. Have you ever seen the Stallone movie Over the Top? Yeah, that's pretty much what this guy ended up doing right on the bar, right in front of my hidden camera, and looking directly into my camera lens. It was awesome. The arm wrestling match went on for minutes, and this by a guy too hurt to work. At times it was very entertaining to work undercover.
Number 16.
I work as a researcher studying illegal wildlife trade. In markets, I have seen critically endangered animals being sold openly for pretty low prices. I've also seen plenty of animals dead or dying in these markets with no food or water in the baking sun. But worse than that, I have friends who have had to watch slow low-rises having their teeth pulled out with nail clippers and not be able to do anything. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.